Hey everybody, Anthony 4x4 Diesel. We've got a vehicle here for a really quick inspection. There's nothing to see here because it's boring. It's a 2014 with 180 something thousand kilometers. So of course at those sort of kilometers where cars used to be flogged and you'd want to be getting rid of it before it costs you money, people are buying them, and we're just showing people how to look after them, what to look for. So it has got the old original suspension. It's going to be time to change that soon. Original CVs, wheel bearings, all that sort of thing. There has been some work done on it recently. We'll get to that in a minute. These lower bushes, quite funny, bit of a story there for roadworthy and which ones are done and which ones aren't. But looks like a wheel alignment's been done, of course, because they had the arms out. You can see that's what all this is about here, at least on the toe in. And they would have had to do the camber and caster as well because the arms are being out. It's had a radiator replaced. That's why you can probably see a bit of foam there, a little bit ripped. No big deal, but we've had a quick look under the vehicle and I'll show you what I've found, but there's not much. So stick around and you'll become an expert looking under these cars and know what to look for, because there's really nothing to see here. What do we say? Brakes are at about 30% on the rear. There's a tiny little sweat on those rear shockers. Not a big deal, but you know, time to replace them. 180,000 Ks long and, you know, far overdue. So on the roadworthy, they like to sell you stuff, so they'll look for repair work. They've changed the rear upper control arm or upper trailing arm bushes. That's why you can see all the work on the nuts and bolts, see at each end here and up the other end as well. And you can see the bushes are nice. They do crack up a bit, but these, it's more flex and little hairline cracks. I would have said there's no need to replace those, but look, each to their own. They were doing a roadworthy and they need business, so that's what they did. I don't know who did it. We'll leave the names out of them for this video. At this stage anyway. We're going to do a bit of a transmission oil flush because that's probably never been done. That's using these check plugs, drone plugs and the filler plugs hidden away up there. The turbo's got a very small amount of oil on it, so that's something to monitor but not something to worry about. It's not a problem. Even if you got more oil than that, just keep an eye on it. It does happen. There's a bit of coolant and engine washing degreaser stains of things here. So make sure if you're washing the engine, just give that a bit of a better rinse off so you haven't got all this possibly caustic, corrosive stuff hanging around. So that needs a bit more of a wash. But that's all good. He was just trying to do the right thing and give it a clean up, because, you know, if you look after your car and that, you like to see things clean so you can see what's going on. Now, these lower control arms, everybody knows from watching our inspection videos, the lower control arm bushes, particularly when you've got old flog suspension, which isn't controlling, you know, it's bouncing around, twisting the bushes more than usual, what you get is splits. And you can see up there, see that split there. So basically the bush, there's rubber at the bottom from, I'm just going to get my finger and go there, right, to up to about there, right? That's the end of it. And you can see the split comes right down there to about there. So that's split about, at least about 50% of the way through that bush. That didn't just happen in the last few days. That's happened over 180 odd thousand kilometers, and it's got worse in recent times. You can see this side split as well from the left side of that bush, coming in probably 30 or 40% or less. A bit hard to judge with the damn camera in the way, but right. So, but they've gone to the trouble to pull the arms out. They've changed these front bushes with some aftermarket ones, because these ones, they don't get a split, but they kind of get a bit ripped up. They move in and out more if you hit speed humps and you're fast around corners and you're hard on the brakes over the speed humps and all that sort of thing, and you've got worn suspension that's sort of not. So once you put in the more heavy duty, the Dobinson's heavier springs and the new shock absorbers, it's gonna control the bounce more, less twisting of these bushes. That's what wrecks them, twisting. So wheel alignment twisting as well, when they do the adjustment using those bolts there, if they're seized, and down at this end as well, if they're seized, that sometimes twists the bushes and causes the problem. But what we find interesting is, why have they changed the front bush but not the rear? They've had the arms out, they've done the front one but not the rear. Just bizarre. And it's for they did this for a roadworthy. So if it's for a roadworthy, quite clearly, if you're going to pick the front ones being not roadworthy, then the rear one's not roadworthy, is it? You know, the same, I mean, to their discretion, but at the same tester, surely, clearly that bush is twisted and cracked. So you got the arms out, you got even more opportunity to see the damage and make sure that it gets rectified. But anyway, so just be aware of that. Now, over here, one of the bolts been over tightened or something and broken off, so that'll need to be, you know, drilled out, retapped, whatever the case may be. Small things. It's a second-hand vehicle. People have worked on it. These rubber flaps, see how it's missing? There's just the ends of the pieces there. in my opinion, it's just aesthetic. So what you do, you just take the clips out, keep them as spares. It should look like this. On my vehicle, I don't have them because, you know, eventually they fall to pieces, they go, and it makes it easier for cleaning and maintenance, inspection, that sort of thing. You've got the usual sweat on the bottom of the rack boot. That's pretty normal, but I would have thought they'd pick a steering rack for Roadworthy because they love selling stuff. It is a very small internal oil leak, so you haven't got it at this side. A little bit, tiny little sweat on the boot. You get oil from inside of the rack coming out, gets in the boot. Everyone knows only takes a small amount of oil and it comes out and sweats around everywhere, but interesting that passed Roadworthy. I'm quite surprised that the top ball joint passed. I'll say there's nothing wrong with it. They've usually got a bit of a sweat on them. This is what we look at every day, so I think we'd probably know. Same as the tie rod end, it's got a bit of a sweat on it, you know. But these places, they can pick anything they want. But what I'm surprised about is they've picked these. Okay, fair enough, fair call, but what about these? It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, I thought this would be a quick one. There you go, 6 minutes adding to your education about what the underside of a Prado looks like. And it might give you some ideas of what other makes and models should look like as well. Yeah, there's not much else to see. The usual bit of an oil sweat there, you see. Not on this one. Nothing to see here. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe, turn the bell on. Catch you on the next one. See ya.